across to the 22nd to go live and miss the beginning of the meeting. Well, good afternoon and welcome to Newcastle Borough Council's Cabinet meeting. Welcome to the Cabinet members in the room, welcome to our officers, welcome to Opposition Council that joined us today, and also those people that are watching on YouTube. If you'd like to see the agenda, there's a link below in the section below the video to the Council's website at our agenda. So moving to our agenda, item 1 is apologies. Do I have any? Not seeing any, and I'd just like to welcome at this stage a new Cabinet member, Craig Scally, who's joined us for the portfolio of leisure, culture and heritage. And is going to be replacing Jill Quarry, who stepped out on March 8th to feature Jill for a time on the Cabinet since December 2017, and which you're a speaker couple. Welcome, Craig, to your first committee. Also joined today by Shug Stowell, which is Jill Neeson, portfolio of the Community Safety. Lead Jenny Hutchinson, portfolio of the Sustainable Environment, Councillor Keele, portfolio of the System Department, Deputy Leader Stephen Sweeney, who's got Finance, Town Centre and Growth, and I'm Councillor Simon Tagg, the Council. So we'll get into our agenda item 2, declaration of interest from any members. Do you have any? Not seeing any. Item 3 is minutes of the previous meeting, and they can be found on page 5 of the agenda from our meeting on Tuesday the 19th of September. Can we agree those as a correct record? That's agreement, thank you. That moves us to our items of business today, and item 4 is the Walleys Quarry update report. As I've said many times over the past couple of years, we bring an item to our Cabinet meeting, and we start a Cabinet meeting with the Walleys Quarry issue, which is one of the biggest issues faced and is still ongoing faced for the last many years, and our Chief Executive is going to give an update on the report, and also this is our first meeting since the revelation that the Environment Agency had calibrated the monitoring equipment over a long period. I'm sure the Chief Executive will touch on that in his opening remarks.
Thank you, Leader. Normally this year, just like I say, this is the report in the format what we used to do. This report in the format we've all been used to because of the issue that the leadership alluded to. But what I will do, and I'm going to focus really on the issue around data and implications on that. But before I do that, the one constant data set we do have is around the complaints that have been made to ourselves and the Environment Agency about the others from Walleys Quarry. And I think within the context of everything else that's been on, it's important to note that there is still a downward trend in terms of complaints. We always have a little bit of anxiety as to whether terms code. This beginning of this week saw, I think, one of the first frosts that we've seen, some very still cold mornings. And thankfully, we haven't seen a dramatic increase in complaints or others coming from that. So, for example, Friday just passed, we had 1 complaint. Saturday, we had 1 complaint. Monday, we've had 6 complaints. And today, so far, we've just had 1 complaint. An officer called out to investigate that. So we still have that there with the trend. But as has been alluded to, I guess the most significant news at the moment is this issue to do with the air quality data. The 4 of the 3 monitoring stations that we've taken around the Walleys Quarry site by the Environment Agency, apart from by the Earth Council County Council. And at the end of October, the Environment Agency alerted ourselves and the wider community to a specific issue with those. Now, it's not specific to the Walleys Quarry site. This is an issue that they have with these monitoring stations generally. But the issue relates to the calibration of the field. Now, if you kit like this, need to be regularly calibrated to make sure that they are faithfully recording the present various gases and substances in the atmosphere. And it has been identified that calibration for the MMF machines has not been done correctly. And as a consequence, hydrogen sulfide has been understated. Now, to be clear, it is only hydrogen sulfide that has been understated. It's a particular issue with calibration around how it identifies hydrogen sulfide. But it is for the whole of the reporting period that has been subject to reports to cabinet and to council and scrutiny committees, and you know the whole of the duration that the Environment Agency have been reporting this data on their website, and indeed it goes back beyond that to I think about 2017, 2018. So I guess there's a number of elements of this that are significant, and one of the things we try and identify is, well, okay, is it possible with that under-reporting to identify the scale of the under-reporting and then retro-adjust the last couple of years of data to see what the situation is. And colleagues from the Environment Agency are working with experts in the area and with manufacturers of machines to see whether or not that is possible. We should know in concrete whether or not that is possible. The data that will be published in September is from a properly calibrated machine. One of the things that the EA did when they identified the problem was that they co-located two machines at the Gallindale site, which has always been the most problematic. So the one that was believed to be erroneous plus one that was properly calibrated, so that they were able to identify the scale of the problem there. So the issues arising from this then, and I guess one of the most significant here really is around credibility of this data. Agencies have been using this data, been relying on this data for advice. I think the narrative of improvement around Walleys Quarry has stood on three pillars. One has been progress with the action on site to contain, capture and destroy the gas being produced by the site. One has been the complaint data, and the other has been the hydrogen sulfide data. And as we looked at those three elements, we've been able to see this improve the picture. So in terms of the contain, capture, destroy, we have seen how the more of the site capped to contain the gas. There's been improvements to the gas management infrastructure, and we've seen an increase in the amount of gas going to the Gulf fields as a consequence. The contained data, as I said earlier, has been on a downward trend, and now we know that the hydrogen sulfide data, which is the third leg of this, was understated. So whilst the data is compromised in absolute terms, I think one of the things that we shouldn't lose sight of is that the trend that the data has been following, we don't think it's compromised. So we've seen hydrogen sulfide levels from 2021 steadily declining, with some spikes along the way, but declining. Now, the quantum of gas being recorded will be higher than has been shown, but I think that overall trend will be good. The complaint data, we know there is a good correlation between complaint data and hydrogen sulfide levels as was reported. That correlation would still stand even if that trend line, if you like, moves up. And of course, our lived experience, those of us that are in and around the town a lot and live in the town, know how the odors, prevalence of the odors have changed over time. So while it's undoubtedly significant blow in terms of content, you really must let this completely distract us from the picture. I think the other really significant impact for the community is the health impact of this news. The community have been concerned from the get-go about this in terms of whether the exposure to hydrogen sulfide will be prejudicial to their health. Now, we know that there are short-term health impacts from exposure. Those things congestions many occasions. But we also know that there is a significant mental health impact from the prevalence of the odours. One of the issues that has been receiving attention over the last couple of years has been, okay, what is the long-term health impact of long-term exposure to lower levels of hydrogen sulfide? And the level of hydrogen sulfide that has been focused on there has been 2 micrograms per meter cubed, which is the level that the World Health Organization has identified as being potentially problematic if we see that long-term, what they refer to as over-time exposure. The shift in this data, our colleagues at UKHSA, at the county's public health team have budgeted significantly on this data, and their conclusions set out in paragraph 3.4 of my report. And essentially, I think that the headline of that is that we cannot rely on the data to assess the risk of health. The risk of long-term health problems is likely smaller, but cannot be excluded at this time. So, as we understand whether or not the data can be corrected going back, we will be able to look more at that, but also our colleagues in health are continuing to look at potential health impacts. There are other implications that are set out in the report. One is in relation to our own abatement notice. Now, our abatement notice isn't reliant on the monitoring data to any significant degree. The abatement notice had lots of data streams and all of the bank quantity data that sit behind it, so no really concerns there. And if we did find ourselves in a position where we were going to consider enforcement action, now going forward, as we would have done going back, we would need to look at the veracity of any data used for that in terms of its reliability. So the abatement notice is stunning as far as that's concerned. Community confidence, as I've alluded, I think is undoubtedly going to be dented by this. And as the picture becomes clearer in terms of whether or not the data can be corrected, as we start to get a longer term view of the accurate position from September going forwards, and as we get a clearer understanding of the health impacts, I think it's incumbent on all of us to be getting messages out as quickly as we can. There are opportunities to provide reassurance, to provide that reassurance. There's opportunities to provide other information. We need to be providing that information. And then finally, I think it really comes to the political confidence in the regulation decided by the Environment Agency. Now, members will be aware this has been a concern of yours for some time. And back in March 21, on the back of the council meeting, you tasked me with writing to the Secretary of State for DEFRA to raise concerns about the regulatory performance of the Environment Agency. And on the back of this, as you've seen in the report, the leaders of County Council and the Borough Council have jointly written to DEFRA against the Secretary of State, asking for a public inquiry into the issue of the EH regulatory performance here. One of the recommendations on the report is that Cabinet to formally endorse that position. So, in summary, normally this data we're talking about the hydrogen sulfide data and what the current picture is. All I can say is that over the last couple of years we've seen that, we've trend on that, but the absolute data at the moment is we only got data for September, so it's not long enough to see that trend. Complaints are steadily continuing to come down and are at a reasonably stable level. But I think this has left us with a lot of work to do in terms of just building up community confidence again in what's happening with the management of this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. As ever, for a full report in the same line as that monitoring data, which we've looked at very closely at cabinets in the past. It's really disappointing to see that that hasn't been the correct information, has been underreported, and completely with all the comments you made. The core committee, which is held by the EA and also on social media, there has been some accusations that the Borough Council should have known that this data was not correct through their own for the monitoring that we've done with our handheld devices in people's properties. That was addressed by the EA quite comprehensively in the meeting. Would you do that from a Borough Council point of view?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the equipment that we use and the equipment that the Environment Agency use are a completely different types of equipment, and we have used them for in very different ways. So the Environment Agency's equipment is fixed equipment, providing a long-term view as to what's happening. We've used the drones really to take spot readings through evidence situation for other things, etc. So it's quite a different shape to the quite a different process and a different machine for a different purpose. And I think we would very much rely on, if as we have done with the Environment Agency, have a team that are responsible for maintaining and calibrate these machines. We would do that, but we would not have had information that would have led us to question that data organization through data snapshots in time and necessarily taking risks.
Okay, thank you. And also, when we did our abatement notice process, and if we were to move forward with that in the future, we'll be taking more than just one sort of information. We take complaints, we take program monitoring equipment, and anything which data that's reliable that the EPA provide, as well as a whole breadth to enable us to take any forward any process that we have as a council. I'm going to look now to comments. First of all, start with Andy.
Yeah, thanks very much. I mean, what can one say at the end of the day? I very much welcome this full public inquiry. I very much welcome that it's called to look into the effectiveness of this agency in general rather than this thing in particular. The length of days that what's happened is both shocking and appalling. I'm happy to agree with that. I also like the word content. We have to rely on expertise. These might be therefore rely on people to do their job. This is a little bit like visiting having to go to a little doctor for 5 years. 5 years, I can say. To be assured that there's nothing wrong with you, then to discover actually there was nothing wrong with you. I mean, it's that level of incompetence at the end of the day. And brutally put, my personal view, I don't think it's shared by colleagues, is that if there were men of honour here, there would be some resignation. This is really, really shocking. We're told here that confidence in the Environmental Agency had reached rock bottom. I would suggest that actually they've gone through the mantle, come out the other side, and are about the foot up coming out in terms of what people think. We really do need to get to the bottom of this. I very much hope that Secretary of State listens to this matter. I am heartened by what Chief Executive said about the way that we've recorded this, so it's not entirely down on it. But I am just absolutely gobsmacked by what has happened. And my personal view is that head should roll.
Thank you, Andy. Steve?
Yes, thank you. Thank you again, Martin. And the echo everything Andy's just said. Couple of things. So he did mention we were sharing costs or something with the EA, and they're going to give us some money back for that. That was one thing. And secondly, the worst thing about this is it's also not really surprised. Our dealings with the EA have been so bad that it's just like the last one to pay. And for me to stand up and seriously say, I'm really not surprised with it, is a terrible indictment on the way the EA work.
What's costs?
To be honest, we make a contribution. I haven't given any great thought to that issue at the moment. Our focus is really on trying to get a clear picture and addressing the issue rather than that particular aspect.
Thank you, Marty. I think going back to the beginning, the comments about moving forward, I think as we are now entering this colder period, obviously I've seen particularly on social media claims of increased odours. I would ask the public to continue to report them to the Borough Council through the online system or to the EA through their systems, because that's one of the key planks which you talked about, Marty, which is still in place, and really we can say that those reports when they do come in are fairly accurate to the spikes we've had in both the faulty monitoring, which is about the level rather than the spikes, but also our own equipment and our own staff, and also I would urge people to continue to report this as we go into this winter period, which is historically been a period when there are more odours, more actually a lot more from this one. I think just going forward also, we will be putting this on the statement in forecast that November's can say actually also there will be a county scrutiny committee on the 20th of November, which will be in this room and will be open to all members of the Borough Council as well, also being broadcast on the MP's video channel on their website as well, which will be specifically about some of the health related issues. We'll have staff from the Director of Public Health from the Council hopefully will be involved, and also from the Health Agency, as Martin referred to earlier, will come in and answer questions on very serious issues. And I know people in the community have got issues, serious questions about health. Hopefully the councils on that committee and members of this council ask those questions on the 20th of November. Also this evening at 5:30 there is a Walleys Quarry liaison committee. That is actually the only body which the operator sits on, and is actually publicly viewable because that video which is put on after later in the week. So the EA are there tonight, and also our council staff, also members of the community that have been appointed to it, and also elected members as well from the wards that surround Walleys Quarry. So look at the platform as well. I'm a member of that, and I get students of the EA tonight based on what's happened over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure all the members will too. So the recommendations for us, we know the contents of the update report. We also endorse the calls for a public inquiry into the regulatory performance of the Environment Agency. I signed that letter to put that together with the Leader of the Council. I would like to share my concerns. The team is also sharing this as well. And I think that the ES said they are doing an independent investigation into the monitoring the issue, which we've talked about today. But I think I agree with you, Steve, and I agree with Andy that this is a lot of errors that have led us to this, dating back over a number of years, and I think the EA needs to be accountable. I think the government should make that accountable through a public inquiry, which is what the letter calls for. So that's the second recommendation. All agree with the recommendations? Thank you. Moving on then to item 5, which is the Ryecroft Redevelopment update, and Steve's going to lead on this.
This is sort of a regular council. There's a few very, very interesting things on this report. The first one is that IBIS have been selected as the hotel supplier, and it's asking them to pay for the £50,000 to settle the bid and things like that. Also, it names 3 other people who are interested in the site putting houses in there. Now, when people say that Newcastle, I think they're not for a couple of weeks, but they're not something like in the 3rd most popular place in the country to retire to or something. So we've got three players who want to put a combination on the Ryecroft. One of them is, of course, Aspire, the other is McCarthy-Stowe, and the other is Captain Centric. So three serious people who are looking to develop a site in the centre of Newcastle to bring a combination in, which again will put footfall for shops, for trade and things like that into that side of the town. I think it's a really, really exciting thing. And it's just the next stage. We've got the multi-story car park now has been fenced off, and we'll start work on that soon. So that's the next thing. It's a jigsaw that's falling into place. I think it's the next thing. I think really exciting.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I agree completely. I think having those three players that are looking forward now, we will have discussions with the council on securing the portion of that site for the development. So there's three different types of development I think we're looking at here on the Ryecroft. One is the McCarthy Stone, which will be that over 50s accommodation, which you've always said you're going to put on there. And also the Aspire will be a social housing element as well, which will be key to ensure we provide housing for all sectors of Newcastle. And then the section will be, I think, for young professionals. I think people who want to attract to Newcastle will study at the Keele University, might have to stay in town. Because bringing these people in on the edge of town, along with the multi-storey car park, which is there for a reason, it's actually there to facilitate the rest of the development on site, and also to replace the big place, not simply building car parks like in other parts of North Staffordshire, where they're building 2 or 3 or whatever. We're replacing a car park, we're building in a place that will help to enable the rest of that site to be developed. I think what we've got there is an ideal plan for footfall in the town. It will help businesses, will help the nightlife, will help the restaurants and the bars, and also, as I said, shops particularly, and help them to survive in what was a very tough period for retail across the country with online shopping and out of town shopping, etc. But you can have people living in and around the town centre, they are the customers for those shops and businesses. So I think a really good report, and this builds on the one we brought last time to Cabinet, which was the announcement that we're part with the Captain Centric to apply to develop York Place and the Midway. And this now is an excellent follow-up paper. And Steve says also considering the outcome of the procurement for the hotel brand, which is this Styles brand is being put forward as well. So again, a hotel on there as well. Again, that's footfall for the town, visitors to the town. The studies have said that we do need an influential hotel in Newcastle to complement what we do have within the town, which is the also back in 2008 when the travel lodge was built, and the site next to the travel lodge, was called the supermarket, was down to be for that mid-range hotel, and then the crash of 2008 came and the money dried up and wasn't able to be brought forward. So I think people trust in when you do see a hotel, you see a couple of hotels together on different ranges, and that's what we're looking to get within our town centre, which will have so before I go into this detailed recommendations, which are obviously no interest in to work with them to do that to get on top of the site. Hopefully with those 3 developments that lead on those developments. And consider the outcome of the procurement of the hotel as we need to the selection of this style of brand, as Steve pointed out, and develop the next stage of the business case for that. And then further reports will brought to us on progress as the elements go through. Also point out there's a confidential appendix to this which deals with some of the commercial sensitivities we can't see in public. There's nothing other than that financial information that isn't in this public report. So I'll let you now to comments about the obviously expecting possible redevelopment of the Ryecroft. Andy.
Very much. Maybe it feels like I'm from ancient history, and I always thought it was a ibis rather than ibis, as in the bird with the crooked beak from ancient Egypt, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. What I can say is, having been put up in this hotel chain before now, I think this is a good choice. Good reputable brand. Clearly, it helps us go forward on the Ryecroft site. The other thing that I welcome with this report again is that insistence that everything is going to go forward in a cohesive manner. We look at 2.6 in that respect, so that what we get is a nice rounded development rather than something developed piecemeal. I also agree, Simon, that I think getting residential accommodation in the town centre is the future of the town centre. It helps revitalise these places. I think it also actually puts things like antisocial behaviour, so there's an awful lot I think to welcome it through.
Thank you. Any other comments from Cabinet members? Anything good to say, Steve? I think it's a great report. Momentum is building around our regeneration projects. Obviously, it's off by the investment through the Future House Reasonable and town deals at 30 million in the capital town centre alone, and then there'll be other 20 million across the 20 million plus across the Borough, Grove and Chesterton and London. I think it's really good that we're beginning to move forward and watch this space for more cabinet reports as we bring these projects hopefully to fruition over the next 18 months to 2 years. But recommendations before us all agreed. Thank you. Move then now to our next item, which is item 6, future High Street Fund improvements to the market. And Steve is going to.
The improvements to the market will be done in 2 stages. This is stage 1. So what we're looking at initially is getting rid of some of the stalls below Castle Street, getting rid of the 5 awful stalls really outside Smiths, which just bring antisocial behaviour. There's no electric to them or anything, and they look awful. Get rid of those, then relocate some stalls each side of the bottom of the high street. Along the line of this, we're going to have new canopies on them all to try to brighten them up at all. We're also looking later on stage, not this stage, to have a big TV screen in there as well, and to put some greenery in, because the area at the bottom of the other side of the street will be quite bland with just tarmac basically. So we're trying to brighten that up. And it's early stages, yes, and we're still in consultation with a lot of things. There's a lot of questions still to be answered. But I think the future for the market, we've shown, I think, with the market that if you give people what they want, people will come. The idea that the markets are dead, well, they're not. If you give people what they want, people will come to it. I wasn't here on Sunday, but I had a group back that the Sunday market was very popular. And I don't want to say the market is a market for a market, but that sounds a bit silly. But if you offer people what they want, people will come. I think it's a really exciting life for a market.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I think when we inherited the market from the previous administration in 2017, it was, talking about coming out of Australia, I think the market was on its knees, probably on its face more than anything. It's been starved of revenue to advertise it and to staff to go out and look for these specialist markets which we've since brought in. So when we came in 2017's administration, we set up the market, we wanted to revive it and keep it in-house. It was going to be put out to a market firm. In the end, didn't want to touch it because it's even deteriorated even further. That's when they became interested in it. So I think we've really turned the markets around. As the future High Street Fund funding, we've got a set amount of funding here which we can invest in public ground improvements around the market. And Steve has pointed out, first phase before Christmas to put the new shops on the market, which will be a lot better, and also to move a few of the stats to create a set amount of stalls at the top end of the market. And then phase 2 will be to remove those at the bottom end of the market. But then there will be temporary stalls, exactly the same number of stalls as we have at the moment. They will be put up on a temporary basis and removed when they're not needed, because 3 or 4 days of the week at the bottom of the market, those stalls are not used. And at the moment, not only does it look empty, but also it's an area for people to hang around, not planned environment. So I think the proposal before us will have to change that so that to improve the market. I think it's the key, as Steve said, support to our market traders as well as getting into better markets to ensure that they're okay and come along with us on this. And I think there's still work to be done there on that, which Steve will be with officers as we progress towards phase 2 on this, which I think is really key. A couple of other things as well, which Steve did mention, is that when we do remove the stalls outside of the old WA Smiths area there, is going to be replacing with some new innovative recycle bins, which will give out a voucher. You get to go to a local shop and redeem that if you get a bottle in or whatever. And our officers are looking into how we can procure those and put those in there. One of the issues around that area is a lot of litter. People sitting on those old market stalls and then dropping litter from McDonald's and the pizza place and the donut shop and the great family shops here, but unfortunately they do create litter. So we can do anything to incentivise putting them into these bins that can give out a token or whatever, or to be able to redeem in the shop nearby. That would be really good. And then the other thing is, of course, we're going to offer the Monday markets it's basically a free market for traders to come in, set up for that day, hopefully to boost trade. Monday is one of the weakest markets we have, and it's one which we can hopefully through this measure to enable market stalls to set up on a free market basis and see how that goes. I think also we need to look at our Saturday markets as well to bring that further on as well. And these are proposals which are, we have a town centre office who'll be working with the market traders, and also we have a commitment to promote the market as well, to ensure we gets much footfall in. I was there on Sunday at the Halloween Artisan Markets this time, and that's the fourth Sunday, I think, in a row where we've had markets here on a Sunday, whether it's the dog gap market, whether it's called, and then there was the vegan market, and there's a record market, artisan, and then the special artisan market for the Halloween, and it just shows, the amount of people we can bring in. And I think we need to spread that over the days. We do have a good antiques market on the Tuesday as well, which brings a lot of footfall in as well. So you can see there how we can grow the market by doing these events markets. So that's all parts of the proposals, but this is using that huge scientific funds from the government to make a change to the market, particularly down the south end, which hopefully help it to prosper in future years. I'll open it now to comments from members. Any comments coming in? No? Antisocial behaviour, Jill, any comments on that to do with what we have at the moment and potentially what we can have with the market changes?
Well, I welcome some of these old stores being removed because they will be a deterrent when they're not there. It just encourage people to sit there, creating nuisance of themselves. And also, I think it will be a good incentive too, particularly the monthly markets, to bring people in to generate a town centre.
Yeah. I'm happy to speak to the police, and the police will be part of these proposals, and sure whatever we do actually helps. We've got CCTV in this town, not just that is blocked by some of the market stalls at the bottom, so when they're not there, that will be an open view for the CCTV to see if there are any incidents, particularly in the evening when we get a lot of people hanging around the market area after the shops are closed, before the nightlife sort of kicks in, during all the members of the community. But again, they're not causing antisocial behaviour to alarm us, but it's also needs to be kept an eye on going forward. So part of the proposal is to be sure, that this is from a community safety point of view, the market is fit for purpose. And the only
Yeah, I'd just like to agree with you, Simon. I think we have to market round. The fact that we're now talking about not saving something but improving something is very important. Just looking at the proposals, another thing that strikes me actually, now I remember that this came up from various members of the public when we had our little walk around historic Newcastle in summer of the 850. The sheer width of the high street is really quite an imposing thing in many ways. If you come in from the bottom end, from the sunken roundabout and look up, it's a really striking part of our townscape, and it's not unique. Very, very rare to see something like that. I think tidying up the bottom end of the high street, maybe putting in these improvements will actually enhance the heritage that we've got here and make that area much more attractive, and hopefully it will highlight that to people who visit as well, to say, this is really quite an interesting part of Newcastle. Of course, giving a market there is no bad thing, is it? Because one of the arguments about why that street is so wide is that in many periods it's actually the original capital. So I think this is good.
Thank you. And that bottom end, it's become like a default entertainment space on a number of occasions. I've seen that there was a beer festival down there, there was bands down there, there was the dog parade during the dog market, so to speak. And it was, so really this will formalise that hopefully. But also on non-market day, when the market is down the bottom end, also there'll be some extra parking there for people who want to come in and whether they've got to pick up a quick and collect or go to the bank. There's a few banks who now have left though, and this will allow them to leave the car there for 30 minutes, nip in and come back as well. So there's that added advantage too on that. I'm going to bring in now the ward member who's Councillor Brocky, who's requested to speak. So if you'd like to approach the microphone next to the floor there and press your light on and over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's very welcome allocation of money for improvements. It actually seems rather modest considering how important the market is to the future of the town centre. Concerns have been raised. I went on a little walk around there as well with Bruce Wright and another councillor, and we had a chat with the market traders, and obviously they're very enthusiastic about these improvements, and rightly so. There were a few concerns, and they're just details, but we'd like a few answers. The lawn area, the bit of grass, which you've got money to maintain, it might attract antisocial behaviour. This is very much in a sort of speculative way, might it? I don't think the presence of an open space necessarily attracts antisocial behaviour. But the trouble is it's going to require maintenance and very regular maintenance too, because, you know, that's what grass does. So it was a bit concerning that we were having a commitment to maintaining this landscape, and that perhaps if there were any incidents of antisocial behaviour, it might just be expensive to maintain. The canopies on the stalls that are there at the moment have been subject to repeated vandalism. Of course, they're plastic, so they're showing wear and tear as well. It's not all vandalism. But it's difficult to see how just replacing one of the plastic awnings with more awnings of a similar nature is going to mitigate the damage, because obviously new awnings aren't going to be crumbling up like the ones that are there. But there has been damage with knives and sharp objects from use, very few of them, but it doesn't take much. Is it possible to look at, when doing the procurement, some means of reinforcing the roofs of those stalls in a way where it's not going to be quite so simple to punch holes in them? A more rigid covering structure may cost more than, I noticed £27,000 is estimated for replacing the coverings. It might actually increase that by quite a bit if there was going to be some reinforcement onto the awnings themselves. But it'd be nice to have an account of what we can do to make them a bit more bomb-proof, as it were. Dismantling and removing the temporary storage between the larger events might also need realistic budgeting. Those gazebo-type structures are very heavy, and it takes three people to move them and to get them at the right angle, because, you know, efficient though they are, it's going to require quite a bit of manpower, and a projection of how much manpower that will be between markets would be useful when we're preparing comments on the development. Can the portfolio holder assure us that the market will be given the priority it deserves? In other words, they have enough spent on it in terms of quality investment for the infrastructure. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Brocky. Just to take a few of those in order, and I'll bring Stephen in as well. I think on the green space, I think you see now in a lot of town centres where they are moving towards those green spaces. City centres do. I don't know if you to the strong in London, for example, where they pedestrianise and really up all of the outside of the university there on the main boulevard. I think we see it in a lot of towns where you know, sympathetic landscape. I think that's going to what we're going to have here as well. We're not going to have things that are lots of CCTV cameras or creating the high behind it. Is going to be low? Is it going to be people? And it will need to be maintained. But we, as you see outside the window, we take pride in Newcastle in maintaining our green spaces. Little people would be a focal point to come to. The Senate, perhaps sitting under the canopies have probably been damaged to them as well on a very odd occasion. Further up, that they may sit further down where in a more open spaced area. I think with the stalls, I think certainly we are asking for our officers to ensure that the materials that are in the new canopies is, you know, ASB resistant. I think on the very minor occasions when they have been damaged, you know, that's been sad to see. But I think one of the main problems with them is the dirt and mould, etc. that on them at the moment. They've been there for 10 years probably now, if not more. So they need to put something with this one to do that. So at least it's key thing for us to do. As for the remove and what the stand of the market stores, the temporary ones, I think we're honoured at that. And you've seen the budget proposal bring forward in February some money to enable us to do that, because I think that is key for us to be able to show that on non-market days the town isn't, the market is not like they're empty. You know, when there isn't a full market, that bottom end can be used for things such as the little parking, as I talked about as well. So I think it's key that we do be able to erect and take down those stores, and we'll be sitting with that investment. I'll leave the question to the portfolio themselves, ensuring that we're probably the quality investment in, but we'll go back to what it was like in 2017, and we've certainly moved on from then. Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Brocky. I'm just the response on the item, bear with me. The funding for the market improvements is part of an overall package of over £11 million from the Future High Streets Fund, which takes into account a number of priority projects aimed at regenerating Newcastle town centre. Available funding had to be carefully considered and allocated in line with criteria, set down by the government and the council's fees a significant sum of increase investment in the historic market. The draft proposals have been worked up with consultation with traders and other stakeholders, including the police. There are recognised concerns regarding ASB around the market stalls. The proposal seeks to address this by reducing the number of fixed stalls and replacing them with temporary stalls, which would only be erected for trading hours if needed. Proposed public realm improvements, including the central lawn area, aim to break up the current large expanse of tarmac, which look very bland when the big stalls are got, and create some colour and interest to encourage people to dwell in the town centre. It's not considered to create a significant additional maintenance burden of street between already maintaining other town centre features and have a regular presence in the town. It is also considered to be likely to be less of an attraction of ASB than the current empty stalls. Other details around the canopies and resources requirements of putting up a day council will be considered and defined during the consultation with police. Now, I think if you look up at the wall model, the bid for sort of a green sort of park type thing by the wall model. When I first heard about this, I just took a lot of that one outside windows, and it didn't. And during the summer, you'd go up there and there'd be people with small children playing and enjoying everything there. So I think the idea that you can't have a bit of a green space in the middle of the town centre, I think is wrong, to be honest with you, and I absolutely support that. The stalls, I mean, you talk about the canopies being slashed. Well, somebody stole a knife, didn't they, from a shop about a month ago and cut two of the canopies. But this isn't something that happens every other week. Yeah, that's the first report I've had for years. So, although it's regrettable and reprehensible, the idea that I think that our local people are just going to go ripping these stalls up, I don't think that's true. Well, it's not true. I think this is a really, really exciting time in the Newcastle market. We work with the traders, because obviously the traders know how to make money. I work with them, and for an investment of 296,000. Now, when we took over, the Labour Party, previous administration, were looking to privatise the markets. One of the shocking things for Labour Party to do is privatise something. We came back in, we employed an officer whose job it was to support the town centre, and we basically renationalised it. And I think, as Andy Fear said earlier, isn't it great that we're talking about taking the market forward, not saving the market, actually taking it forward? I think that's a great criticism.
We've now done the full circle because it's now a free market on Monday, so privatisation, free market, back to the 1980s. Thank you for that, Steve, and I think, thank you, Councillor Rocky, for your question. I think what we would say is that as we move forward, and obviously we're consulting with the trade, is also, I think, and our officer is here, and Steve as a portfolio, also to talk to the local vendor who would like to hear your views as we bring particularly forward phase 2 of this, if that's okay. We'll also be popping this on the lead statement, Smart Centre or Council to have a say on this as well, and question and comments in November. Lisa, thank you for asking the question. We've got recommendations before us. The proposed first phase of improvements in Newcastle market outlined by Steve to authorise the Service Director for Neighbourhood and Living consultation with the to finalise detailed plans for the proposed phase 2 improvements. There'll be consultation with traders and other stakeholders, I think, as well. And 3, authorises the same people to invite or tenders for the works up to the value available in the Future House Fund, which is that £396,000 investment through the Future House Fund, which of course sees that as part of the larger £11.5 million investment, which we see that being delivered now across the town centre. And then 4, offer that free market for traders on Mondays, seek to boost trading numbers on that day, and then obviously we'll report back on how that goes and see if we can extend that to other days where the market is in of for as well. So those are recommendations 1 to 4, all agreed. Thank you. We'll move then to our next item, which is the Keele Sustainable Solar Energy Project. And Steve is going to introduce this initially.
Thank you. This is the first report that's got to cabinet. It's very, very early days. There is a cemetery at Keele. There's a lot of land there, a lot of land that won't be used for many, many years. And it's building a solar farm on there. It's part of our sustainable strategy. It's obviously a green thing. And I think it's looking at 20 to 25 years lifespan for these targets, and by the time that's finished, then we might need the space of burials. But to me, it's one of these it's win-win-win-win really. We've got land there that's going to spare. We put this on, it generates electricity, we reduce our bills. I think it's good news for everyone.
Thank you. Yes, Steve, support this, and say in the early stages, but I think using that land, which of course when the new cemetery was built in Keele, we did buy the field next to it for obviously for those burials, 40 years down the line, and this would be something we could do in the interim on that side, which would create electricity not only to generate the electricity for the cemetery, but also hopefully for locally as well. And in the confidential report, there are more details on that commercial sensitive at this stage. So we can't go as a public, but in the public details, you need to know where we are, the business case so far on this, and the next steps, which are to build up that space into a planning application that would require planning condition to move forward on this, which would be something I think would be really a good scheme to take forward. As I say, later on the agenda, we're looking at our review of our environment strategy and road to net zero. And the cemetery, for example, is one of the emitters, which will need to move the carbon out of there in a better way than generating sustainable solar energy to be able to power that, and also hopefully power potentially in the area as well. So really in support of this, and I'll look at comments from other holders. Dave.
Thank you, Leader. Totally agree with the comments from Councillor Sweeney. Our Sustainable Environment Strategy was adopted in 2020 and states the Council will reduce our reliance on fossil fuels by investigating green energy options. As the portfolio holder for the sustainable environment, I welcome the Keele Sustainable Solar Energy Project in the Cabinet agenda today. Solar power is a renewable and infinite energy source. It creates no harmful greenhouse gas emissions. As long as the sun continues to shine, energy will be released. The carbon footprint of the solar panels is very small, and the panels last for about 25 years, which fits in very well with our long-term plans for the site. I look forward to future Cabinet reports, Cabinet meetings, and planning committee meetings as the Keele Sustainable Solar Energy Project progresses.
Thank you, Dave. This is a topic looking forward because the environmental gains we get from this, I mean, it's really good that we are beginning to move forward on this. Of course, we have sought advice and are getting advice from Keele University just over the road, where they do have their solar array as well over there, which is creating energy from campus, so they can become it's energy independent campus along with their wind turbines they've got there. So we've got just taken the hat, there's no plans for any wind turbines on our site, it's just a solar array. So I've got a recommendation for unless there's any more speakers.
Yes, I think what you say at the end, Simon, is important. I'd like to visit that. We had up to the site before in thinking about this. So one thing that struck me is that how noisy these windows are, roofing noise that's there. But obviously one has to be a little bit respectful, more than a little bit respectful of people visiting the cemetery, looks like. And I think looking at the site, the fact that there will be a hedgerow which will screen most of this development from the current cemetery site, the fact that solar panels make no noise at all of that I think is very important at the end of the day. So with those provisos, I think that this is an ideal way of putting land which will otherwise just sitting there in use in a public fashion, and I don't think you can cause any stress to people using the building function.
Or even those living around the field as well. So there's a hedgerow there, there's a significant height that can be allowed to go higher to shield it, which we've already asked for some initial cuts this year, not to be as vigorous as they usually are, to allow it to start to grow at the hedge, particularly on the cemetery side, which is quite right. But yeah, so very early days, there will be future reports about when we were asked to approve the production of a detailed feasibility study and business case for the solar array at Keele. Details to be provided in the further report. Authorise the Deputy Chief Executive in consultation with Court Borough to submit a planning application for the solar array at Keele at the right time, and receive a further report on progress and next steps required prior to any installation works being taken on the side, and that third one is all the way down the line yet, following any planning permission, which I think will be vigorously looked at by the planning committee on behalf of residents and cemetery users. But those are recommendations. You all agree? Thank you. Moving now to item 8, which is the Borough Local Plan Update, and Andy's going to introduce it.
Yes, thank you very much. So I think we've got a good news story here. The report, the bulk of the report outlines what we did with our consultation, as you can see. We've had a good response from that consultation. Again, I'd like to thank our Office of Planning for the really hard work they've put into this, especially as I think, like it, we went well beyond what we were required to do at this point. So we had a longer consultation period, we had face-to-face events, lots of things that you didn't have to do, but obviously it's important to make sure that the message gets out in this regard. So we've got a lot of the details sitting down there in front of you. You can see 2.3 lists what we did, 2.4 lists the results of the face-to-face meetings. Now, of course, again, our officers are not from breath. They're working very hard on processing the results for that. Manifestly, what we have at the moment is an emergence. That's pointed out in 2.6. That's how we won't know the full picture until we've got through this stuff. And there are a lot of responses, and some of those responses, of course, raise multiple points within the thing. So one response can actually then generate quite a lot of questions that have to be answered. We also here look to the future. We've got some emerging points. You can see 210, 211, 212. We're taking things forwards. And there you can see we have an outline of where we're going. Also, a request for monies for that. And there are two reasons for this. And this, I think it's important to stress, would happen with any sort of local plan at this point. It's not something that's happened with this plan. In the old system as well, we've had to do that. As you can see, one of the things that we want to do is make sure that our evidence-based documents are up to date. And it is simply the case that if we don't do that, the planning inspector will not be back at us. So, regardless of what we were operating under, we would have to do this. And equally, of course, we're also using that money to give detailed consideration to the things that have been raised in the consultation, showing that we are taking that seriously. It's not just a rubber stamping episode. So, those are the reasons why we need the extra funding. I think we've done a really good job on the consultation. I look forward to continuing to work with our Office of Planning to get this through to its final stage for the council, and I will commend this report.
Thank you, Andy. Just to back you on this consultation, I've been on this council now for 20 years, and this is, the most extensive consultation I've seen the council do. The previous one I've seen, which was most extensive, was the last one we did on the local plan, which was just a year or so ago over the sites. Over the strategy. This is over the sites. I think with all those drop-in events, which was more than was required, the 60, usually 80 to 6, which again is more than required. Some councils at this stage just do an online consultation on this and don't do all of the extra interaction with our communities that we've done on this, and as detailed in the report. So I think it's a very good consultation. I think anybody that tries to do a full-time consultation and they're objecting to a particular plan within a consultation, it's taking the focus off their objections by objecting on something which is practically, I think, I had an email from the new councillor for Walleys just recently trying to have a chat to, because she campaigned in the election against the local plan, so I had to follow it up. And I was pleased to write a detailed email back showing how good this consultation was. I think hopefully she spent back to the communities that, and I think those communities, particularly Northern Quarry and some of the land in there, should really be concentrating on that rather than trying to pick fault in the consultation, which I think does down their actual argument they're making. So I think concentrate on plan that's going to come forward, and of course there will be another consultation sure on taking that forward before we take it to full council. But I think one point I'd just like to pick on before bringing other people in is your point on the allocation of funds to do with this. I was on the cabinet when we agreed the Borough moved forward at the end of 2020. And at that stage, we had a joint local plan with Stoke, which at that stage was seen to be not really fit for purpose. It was, if you look at all of the consultation that happened three years before, and the data was from years before that, and it was felt that money had to be spent on taking us through. And I think if we had stuck with this joint local plan, and I think we'd be at the same stage as we are now, but with a higher housing figure, which of course what we had in the joint local plan was probably 11,000 houses being built in Newcastle over the period, probably more than that really, during the period of that local plan, whereas we've got 7,000 in this one, so less green space being offered up for housing under this plan than would have been in the joint local plan, which is supported by the opposition party, or the opposition parties, because I saw that the Lib Dem candidate in the by-election in Walleys was trying to make the case that we've been better with the joint local plan. Obviously, I don't think when you look at the housing figures, we would have been. And working with Stoke, just for information, they have more or less caught their local plan at the moment. Of course, they've got to start from scratch on that. And yet, when we split off from the joint local plan, we sorted Stoke. Quickly, I said, that joint local plan, let's take Newcastle off it. Well, no, they've realised that there has to be up-to-date calculations, up-to-date surveys, up-to-date studies, and that's what that £300,000 is being spent on to ensure we have. And why we're doing that? To ensure we have a relevant local plan that protects most of the green space in Newcastle from development and also from speculative development, but also provides a framework for those houses to be built that allows for Newcastle to grow and also those businesses to grow as well. So it's really important that we do the best. It's an investment in that money to take us to that next step of the local plan, which is agreement later next year, which will be able to be given into the planning inspectors for them to do their work, which could take as long as they require it to take, so we get a local plan in place, as I say, to protect the borough and also to help home building and also business to develop. And I'll open it now to Steve.
Thank you. I watched the Keele song. So I watched the Labour Party conference, as you would expect. He spoke very openly about housing, and he spoke about the councils hiding behind local plans to stop building housing, which I thought was the most bizarre comments. Amongst many bizarre comments. What my opinion, I thought this consultation was absolutely excellent. It was far ahead of what we needed to do. And I think one of the gentlemen on that comment who was now said this is the best consultation we've had since the previous consultation. And I think that's very true. I think it just is great credit. So we're not hiding anything, we're not containing any discussion or anything. We've been open, transparent, Alex, one of the things we signed on, I think, at Guildhall, and we were there for a couple of hours. And now I think the process being so open and transparent as possible thing. Great credit to council.
Yeah, and it's been about opening those modes of communications for all, not only online, not only by email, but written, also coming along and talking and meeting with officers here, because of the group here. All of those angles and options have been open at this time, which I say a lot of councils don't. They put down the options to find people who online, and we haven't done that at any stage of this local plan, nor will be going forward in the next stage. I've got a local councillor who wants to speak, Richard Gordon, if you'd like to approach the table there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I wanted to speak to and ask a questions on specifically paragraph 212 of the report. The report before Cabinet this afternoon is almost the same document that which went to the Employment and Place Scrutiny Committee on the 21st of September. But there is one important difference, Chairman. The Scrutiny Committee report did not include anything like paragraph 212. In other words, scrutiny members were not aware of the possibility of £300,000 being allocated to fund the work of consultants. Now, can the Chairman explain why the scrutiny committee not made aware that consultants would be brought in to work on it? And can, in light of that, the Chair or portfolio holder explain a little bit more fully what the consultants will actually do in return for their fee? Thank you.
Thank you. I'll bring in another at the moment. I think, obviously, the report that went to scrutiny was a report that looked back on the consultation, didn't look forward, it looked back on good news, which we detailed already. Council Gordon about the amount of people that were able to take part in the consultation number of events within timescales. This is a cabinet call and decision to move us to the next level, so that's the difference on that one. I'll note to Andy to show in case some of the ways the 300,000 will be spent.
Thanks very much. Yes, I think what the leaders have said is right, that the last scrutiny committee, my understanding was to scrutinise the consultation, which did. And again, I think no serious concern being emerged from that. This is obviously, like I say, the next step, 11 to 12. And to take those steps, it's very important that we make sure that the next drafting, the Reg 19 drafting, is robust and up to date. If it isn't, all that will happen is we will send this on to the planning inspectorate. Planning inspectorate will then say, terribly sorry, before you submit this, we give you an inspector and go to do formal examination, you need to clarify this points. So all we'll do, if we don't get this spot on, is actually delay the process that bit further. That leaves, of course, vulnerable to all sorts of unfortunate applications and such like. So effectively, it will be making sure that those evidence-based documents are up to date, that PINs can't object to them in any shape or form, and that would have happened with any, as I tried to say when I introduced the item, this would have happened with any form of that we were doing. So we stuck with a joint local plan, and I'm actually proud to say I voted against having a joint local plan at every step. Well, I did, I never thought it was appropriate rather. But nonetheless, were we in that position now, we would still be doing this, because if we weren't doing this, a joint local plan would equally be vulnerable to objections about things being out of date and such like. Of course, the other thing there is, again, these people will not only be looking at the evidence base, they'll be looking at the issues raised through the consultation exercise to make sure that we've taken on board what's said there, to see anything that's raised there that's valid, how we find a way forward at that juncture. So broadly speaking, I think that's what's going on. I don't know whether it's appropriate at this point to Jordan to speak about this, but I think I've fairly covered. I think I've covered the basics there. That's what I would say. That what we're doing is making sure we're up to date, good to go, and we're addressing issues that were raised in the consultation.
I think that covers it. And what I was going to say is that this Councillor Gordon wishes to get more details. Obviously, our head of planning is available to look into some of that breakdown of how that extra 300,000 we spent on that data collection and other things we have to do to put the local planning position where we can then submit it. Hopefully, a few questions on that, and you might well stay there. Thinking on for a bit, Richard as well. So we'll move to recommendations on this one for the Borough plan, which is updated following the consultation of the first draft. 2, the local development scheme be published to confirm the council's intention to prepare a final draft of the Reg 19 stage of the local plan by summer 2024 and approve given to the allocation of that 300,000 from the BSF to fund the local plan programme going forward. So we can obviously achieve that date in summer 2024. All agreed? Thank you. We now move then to our next item, which is item 9, review of our sustainable environment strategy and the roadmap to net zero. Dave is going to introduce this.
Thank you, Leader. The review of the environment strategy and roadmap to net zero by 2030 is in your reports found on pages 65 to 116. The purpose of this report, Leader, is to provide the Cabinet with a progress update towards achieving the aims of the Council's sustainable environment strategy and to consider the recently produced roadmap to net zero for the Council's operations and the Council's estate. To note the progress in reducing carbon emissions from the Council's operations in the state by 43% since the Council declared the climate emergency in 2019 and over 50% in the last 10 years. This gives the Borough Council 7 years to reach the target of net zero by the end of the decade. So the recommendation before you is that Cabinet notes the progress made in the various facets of the Council's Sustainable Environment Strategy, which is in Appendix 1, which starts at page 77, and other linked initiatives such as the Urban Tree Planting Strategy, which we'll hear about later. The Cabinet considers the findings and recommendations of the roadmap to net zero and builds them into the action plan and updated Sustainable Environment Strategy moving forward. And I think it would be appropriate if Cabinet refers the progress update and the 2023 to 2024 action plan to the Health, Wellbeing and Environment Scrutiny Committee for scrutiny and comments. So our Sustainable Environment Strategy is detailed in your report pack, as I said, Appendix 1, which starts at page 77. This strategy is divided into 4 main sections. Section 1, reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. This involves initiatives such as cycle routes around Newcastle, green staff incentive schemes for staff, including cycle to work schemes, vehicle storage at the council car park, and the council has also introduced salary sacrifice schemes for electric vehicles for employees. I'm aware of other employers in the borough also introducing similar schemes, which is great news for the borough. Number 2 is the reduced carbon and emissions, such as changing the waste and recycling fleet from diesel to hydrogenated vegetable oil, which is a cleaner alternative. This has reduced the carbon emissions for those fleet vehicles by 90% during the first 6 months of 2023. Yes, 90% during the first 6 months of 2023. I mean, how wow is that? Also, petrol grass cutters, hedge trimmers are being changed, where possible, to rechargeable options, so that any fleet, plant or machinery still working well on diesel or petrol, it cannot be changed at this time, will remain on petrol diesel, but sometime during the next 7 years, when the fleet, plant or machinery item has reached the end of its working life, it will be replaced for the zero or the low carbon option. This is fully explained in section 8.3 of the report in the financial and resource implication section. The council has formally recognised the climate emergency, and in doing so acknowledges that there is real need to act now and plan ahead to tackle the environment threats posed by the climate change. This need to act will require a balance to be found between the prioritising of the funding of projects and the duty to be accountable for the way in which the public funds are being spent and the public funds are being used. The other section is the third section is minimising waste and increasing recycling. The Borough Council is currently the second highest recycle rate of all the councils in Staffordshire, which is behind the Staffordshire Lowlands. We are the only council in Staffordshire to separately collect food waste, and have been doing this since 2010. We currently collect about 50 tonnes of food waste a week. The food waste goes to the biotech processing plant in Telford in Shropshire. This plant processes up to 90,000 tonnes of food waste a year, which could supply gas and clean electricity to 50,000 homes a year. Plus the byproduct, once pasteurised, is a high nutrient fertiliser. It goes on the farmland in Shropshire and in Staffordshire. And finally, the section 4 is offsetting our residual carbon emissions with our tree planting strategy, looking at the solar options. And in 2022, we introduced the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund, which saw 38 houses receive decarbonisation funding and were refurbished and fully decarbonised. The roadmap to the net zero shows the net zero target can be realistically met with a wide range of implementation measures and changes to reduce the carbon emissions in the Borough Council's own estate and operations, and can be adopted at scale and pace over the next 7 years across the borough, so we meet our net carbon target of a net zero carbon target by the 2030. So in section 1.6 of the report, you will see a timeline, 2022 to 2023. This involves understanding what needs to be done and when to accelerate these actions. Appendix 1 to 5 in the reports details our sustainable environment strategy and our roadmap to net zero in detail. 2023 to 2027, we're looking at expectations that low carbon is now the norm and doing well on the journey to net zero. And then in 2028 to 2030, choosing low or zero carbon has become routine, culturally embedded and self-regulating. So the Sustainable Environment Strategy sets out the council's ambitions to be an exemplar local authority in both caring for and enhancing our environment. Adapting to and mitigating the effects of climate change means changing the way we do things for the long-term benefits of Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough as we evolve, change and adapt on our journey to net carbon zero by 2030. So in concluding, Leader, I would like to go back to section 8 of the report for a moment. That's the financial and resource implications section. The roadmap has identified capital expenditure of 7.4 million is required up to 2030 to decarbonise the council's operational buildings. This is detailed in Appendix 2 and amounts to just over 1 million per annum over the next 7 years. Reaching the 50% reduction in carbon emissions is an achievement built on sound foundations following the move from our old civic offices to occupy one floor of a very more efficient building here at Castle House. We have also installed more efficient heating, lighting and insulation in all our other council properties. External funding will continue to play an important part in allowing the projects to come forward. In section 8.6 of the report, you will read that officers have recently made a public sector decarbonisation fund bid for energy reduction measures at the J2 Leisure Centre. This bid includes a full cover for the main pool and a full cover for the teaching pool, which would achieve a significant reduction in energy as well as a reduction in carbon emissions. It's estimated that the reduction in energy will give an annual reduction of £11,089 in cost and will reduce the J2 carbon emissions by approximately 18.4 tonnes per annum. So the cost for replacing the fleet, utilising zero and low emission options, is estimated at 10.76 million. These costs have been confirmed as being adequately covered under the Council's existing 10-year fleet replacement programme. This again is fully explained in Appendix number 3. So the challenge now, Leader, is to plan for the next steps to take us closer to our target. Although the Borough Council is only responsible for a small amount of carbon emissions overall, as a local authority, we can set a strong example and work with others to help reduce their net output too. So I submit this Sustainable Environment Strategy and the roadmap to net zero to the Cabinet for further discussion and consideration.
Thank you, David. Excellent report, and I think all the attachments which you can detail as well, showing on our achievements we've made so far. I think reaching that 50%, hitting that target of 50% is really good on road to that overall net zero by 2030. I think you've outlined some of the challenges that we've got to take over the next 7 years. And I think I'll also make the case for the offsetting of energy consumption, particularly in J2 and the depot and the crematorium, where we're going to find it very difficult to get to net zero there. But we can get to net zero by offsetting through our tree planting programmes and other things that we're looking at as well as we move towards the end of the decade. So I think, as you say, a 7-year plan now needs to be put together. I think it's we're waiting for this net zero roadmap. We now have that. Let's chart the road forward to get to our goal by 2030, and we've made a good start over the last few years. I think it's credit to the officers involved, so previous cabinet members and yourself, and we've particularly brought in HVO, hydrogenated vegetable oil into that, which, as you say, has cut those emissions by 90%, which is an excellent move forward. Those type of things, can deliver very quickly and at not much increase in cost. It's those bigger things where we have to, particularly J2, I'm concerned about that. Make sure we get that full cover in place. We do the other things, but also eventually we'll have to offset some of the carbon. No, just quite right, and a net zero target offsetting is an important part of that. And finally, before I open up to others, is the point you made about our recycling rates, second best in all stuff. I think on the sustainability agenda, this council is leading in a number of areas, and I think, we will see, a lot of councils are nowhere near 50% at this stage, and we are, and I think it's a tribute to the decision the council made in 2019 for its climate emergency, also the decisions it's made since to get us to where we are now. So with the recommendation for opening up, we know the progress from the various facets of the sustainable environment strategy and other linked initiatives, as detailed in the report by David. Note the 50% reduction in carbon emissions from the council's operations at state over the last 10 years. The cabinet considers finding and the recommendations of the findings and recommendations of the roadmap for net zero, builds them into the action plan for the updated sustainable environment strategy forward. And there's also, as you said, David, we refer this to our health and wellbeing committee for their comments at their next meeting. Would we like to any comments? Steve.
Thank you. Yes, very encouraging report. I think there's some great 4 million over 7 years. It's an interesting figure. What I would say, I'm a fan of talk radio. Everybody else in the field is a fan of talk radio. But this time last year, talk radio were very excited about gas electric bills. Everybody was going to be paying £6,000 a house when you're gas electric. Well, I've got 4 adults in my house. It's a 4-bedroom house. Got 4 adults in it, and had a big extension on, which has all been fully insulated and this, that, and the other. And my gas electric bill was over £3,000. So I think it just goes to show, take the right measures, its gas usage, electric usage, things like that can actually come down. And can save you money as well as save the environment. So I absolutely support it.
Thank you. Any other comments? I've not seen any, so we've got the recommendations before us. Thank you, David, for the report. All agreed. Thank you. And we're now staying with David for item 10, which is the urban tree planting strategy update for 2023 planting season.
Here we go. Agenda 10 on your agenda item is pages 117 to 122 in your report bundle. The recommendation is to propose the purpose of the report is to update Cabinet on the progress of the urban tree planting strategy and to seek approval for phase 5 of the proposed planting area. Phases 1 to 4 are shown in your reports. I have discussed the phase 5 tree planting strategy with the Service Director for Neighbourhood Delivery Services, the Sustainable Environment Service Director, and the Town Centres and Community Manager at the Borough Council. I have also spoken informally with individual Cabinet members, which helped myself and officers to come up with the phase 5 proposal. I now seek Cabinet approval for Borough Council officers to seek and accept quotations for the work to be done. I also seek Cabinet approval for officers to bid for and accept external grant funding and secure community donations to contribute to the delivery of the urban tree planting strategy phase number 5. The urban tree planting strategy will contribute to Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough Council's sustainable environment strategy, with particular focus on carbon sequestration and offsetting as part of our roadmap to net zero. Net zero, we all know, means net zero greenhouse gas emissions. It does not mean zero emissions, which of course would be impossible. It means reducing the emission as much as possible and then offsetting the remainder, so that overall we are not contributing to climate change anymore and can then begin to reverse global temperature rises. The tree planting strategy also contributes to the Council's nature recovery plans. As you can see from the reports and maps, phase 5 of the tree planting strategy covers the following wards at the Borough Council. Bradwell Ward, 11 trees being planted over the 3.29 hectare area of the Bradwell Dingle, with 415 square metres of woodland planting as well. Clayton Ward will have 11 trees being planted at Betty Place. The Westbury Park and Northwood Ward are 17 trees being planted at Wye Road Car Park and Community Centre, and 3 blocks of woodlands totaling 1.3 thousand square metres. Bostanton Ward has 7 trees being planted at the Grange Lane and 62 trees being planted across the 7.37 hectares of the woodland marsh, which will benefit the Bostanton Ward and the Maybank Ward residents. And finally, in Westlands Ward, we will have 16 trees in Elves Drive and Clayton Field in the Westlands, and 3 blocks of woodlands totaling 8.2 thousand square metres. All of the proposals will be based on a public consultation, which runs from now until the 20th of November. The woodland planting will have native mixes of the trees, and also the residents who come back with reply to the consultation, any comments will be taken into account. As a side leader, 2 of the sites mentioned, namely the Wye Road Car Park Community Centre and the Woolstanton Marsh, these sites have also been selected for the Phase 5 tree planting strategy because 80 trees across the 2 sites will give extra security at the 2 locations to try to stop illegal travel trespassing on our beautiful green spaces. I'm sure Councillor Peer on my right and Councillor Andrew Parker will be happy to learn of the trees proposed to be planted at the Wye Road Car Park and Community Centre. I'm confident the proposal of 62 trees at the Woolstanton Marsh will have the support of Councillor Johnson, Councillor John Tagg, Councillor Rees and Councillor Gorson. We still have the stumps, but I'm hoping the trees will be our second line of defence against illegal traveller trespassing on our beautiful green spaces. So if my arithmetic is correct, Phase 5 of the Newcastle-under-Lyme Borough Council Urban Tree Planting Strategy proposes 124 new trees with 10,075 square metres of woodland planting. Once planted, these sites will form part of an essential mosaic of local green spaces that will be protected for the benefit of nature recovery and carbon capture for the future, and in time, further carbon reduction opportunities on these sites will also be considered with community involvement. Thank you for listening to the report.
Thank you, David. Just to point out, and obviously the trees currently planting on the edge of Grove Drive are also a traveller deterrent as well, because we do have some wooden stumps there on that land, but also as you plant in Rye Road on the Woolstanton Moss behind there, beyond that, some trees that will have a productive fence. Yeah, David?
Sorry, can I just come back? I just forgot to mention there is a dedicated web page that's been set up on the council with information about the benefits of tree planting, has details of the proposed Phase 5 sites, and invites residents to let the council know their views on tree planting and any other suggestions for further nature recovery improvements. As I said, the consultation on Phase 5 runs from now until the 20th of November. Dependent on a consensus of support for the various proposals, planting will be planned for January through to March 2024. So ward members of the Phase 5 sites will be issued with a pack including a consultation letter that can be delivered to residents and a plan of the particular sites involved, with the intention that ward members can undertake appropriate distribution in their areas. In order to provide an opportunity for the community to sponsor a tree or make a contribution to a particular site or project, a donation scheme has also been set up on the council website. Residents and businesses will be able to contribute to the urban tree planting strategy, where any donations collected will be used on a rolling programme of tree planting. So suggested donation amounts are included on the web pages as a guide, and the funds received will be stored in specific account areas. This will ensure that any funds raised are appropriately managed and can be rolled forward to match suitable planting seasons. So the proposal leader is that Phase 5 of the tree planting under the urban tree planting strategy is approved for implementation, subject to the consultation responses, and the service director for the neighbourhood delivery services is authorised to seek and accept applications for the work. Also, that I would propose the service director, the neighbourhood delivery services, is authorised to bid for and accept external grant funding and to secure community donations to contribute to the delivery of the urban tree planting strategy as well as other related projects. So I look forward to hearing any comments from the other cabinet members.
Thank you, David. I think from my point of view, this is a really important part of the council telling the story about its sustainable environment strategy. Not only does it help us in the future to get to net zero, but also it's public green spaces, which there's over 60 of them across the borough, which we protected as urban carbon capture areas. Many in the past have been brought forward for housing developments. We stopped those and made sure that these are protected in our new plan. So I think this next phase is spreading that out even further. Looking back at some of the other phases, it covers right across the borough, from Kidsgrove through to Clayton, Maybank, Stanton, Bradwell, Silverdale, the list goes on, Westwood Park. And this new phase will lead to a dual purpose on some of the sites, which is that obviously adding to the traveller protection, particularly where we've had incursions this year. We have the incursion on the Mark and Wye Road, which of course concerns local residents, so anything we can do to get them trees established. And then we've already in the phase 4 of the East Drive, which is up Whitmore Road, the Westland, we did put a number of trees at the entrance to there, where we had travel incursion a few years before, year or so before we put those trees in as a direct block for travellers to enter that site, which is another act on private property. So I think a really good scheme to carry forward, and I think it's something which local people will see, and I know particularly on Wolfhampton Marsh, the trees there are well liked by people, and any other environmental improvements, as you said, David, to bring forward as well. We took wildflower meadows in 2 sites on Sandy Lane, and also up in Winchester Drive in the west. There's going to do more of those as well as on green wall on the bus station as well, which was a test out to see how that goes. So I think we've got a lot of things that we can do on these green spaces, and this is the phase 5 of the tree planting scheme. And also, at least we not forget, this year did our 850 planting of our lime forest up in Silverdale on the edge of the former golf course there. So that was a massive boost to the amount of trees we planted as well. So we also go to questions and comments from Steve and then Jim.
It's just a quick comment. I go past one on Westwood Park frequently, and it's really gratifying to see how many trees are surviving. They've been looked after, and they're coming on very nicely. I think it looks really nice. Good scheme, well done. Jill.
Yeah, I look forward to the outcome of the consultation, which I urge residents to complete, particularly in the Oswald area, that's in my ward, not that I want a vested interest. But I think it would be a welcome addition to a well-used area. We've got a very well-used green area in Earls Drive, and I think this is something that will ensure over the years to create a long-lasting impact to the area on the journey to net zero carbon.
Andy.
Thanks very much. I'm not so excited about carbon and such like, but I am like J.R.R. Tolkien. I just like trees. I think people feel happier when they see trees and such like, and I think that reflects on what Steve has said, that when these things are put there, by and large, they're well liked, they're respected, and it will just make a better environment. Now, of course, being a councillor for the Westbury Park and Northwood area, we did have that unfortunate incursion onto Bonny Hill, and I do very much welcome the planting of trees around the Wye Road Community Centre to try and enforce that security. And again, I think it's nice to have a way of doing that. I think that will also contribute to human happiness and decrease stress in that area. But it's nice to do it in a way which will also look good and it'll be pleasant in itself, rather than putting up a big fence or something like that. So I think we've got everything to welcome here. I'm very much looking forward to these trees being planted. I'm sure that our office is already on the ball as regards the sort of trees, the maturity of the trees, because again, Anywhere that they're going to be planting new, where there's been an incursion more custody, unfortunately, the way that those trees will not be respected in half a chance. But I think that we win all round here, and I think that the community will very much welcome this. And I'm sure that my fellow councillor in the ward, Councillor Parker, both went down with Councillor Hutchinson to my road community centre, have a look around. He would also welcome this development.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Just on the point Steve made about trees surviving and the management of them, I think what we've asked officers to put together the tree management and also an environmental management plan for when we do the wildflower meadows, etc. And that will be brought to us pretty soon. We'll make all members aware of that so that they can see some of the questions we've raised in the past about all these trees, how they're going to be maintained. But we will have a plan for that. That will be coming to us in a future date. But there are more cabinet members, but I know the council board wants to come in and ask a question.
Thank you, Chairman. You've anticipated one of my questions, which was about maintenance. First of all, can I begin as one of the Wolverhampton councillors by welcoming the paper? I read in the report that over the last 3 years, the Borough Council has planted the best part of 25,000 trees, and I think that's a really notable achievement. I'm sure what is planned for the March is in the public benefit and will be welcomed by residents. Yes, I'll own up. I think that was probably the councillor who has raised in the past about maintenance. It was one of the aspects of the paper that puzzled me a little bit, because there seemed to be very little about looking after the trees once they are planted, and what sort of follow-up action the Borough Council is able to undertake. I was pleased to note that there will be a strategy coming forward on that, Chairman. I think many members share my questions about maintenance, and I think that will be a great help, and I look forward to referring to that. Could I come on now to my sort of second specific question? And that's about the reference to donations from residents and groups to support the continuation of the strategy. Now, I think we've mention has been made this afternoon at this meeting that budgets everywhere are tight. So my question is simply this: what are the implications for the next phase if donations are not forthcoming?
Thank you. I will answer in Councillor Hutchinson in a minute, but I think the donations are being sort of triggered related to particularly Wolverhampton Marsh, where I know residents that live around there would like to contribute towards a tree it's helping to prevent further incursions of travellers. So I think that was the sort of the inspiration for that. But again, I think it's an inspiration which people across the borough, if they wanted to submit money, donate money towards trees in their area, if they're on the plan, that would be brilliant. But I think what we've had is UK shared prosperity funding for tree planting. We've also, in our budgets every year, put money aside for tree planting. We're doing that again next year through our Borough Growth Fund and the environmental part of that. So it's a commitment to this council. It doesn't need donations from people outside, but I think in city councils, I think, such as we mentioned, Samson Marfield was right, that maybe people will want to contribute towards them, and there may be in other areas of the borough as well, which I think we should accept. It may be a way for people to do their bit. They may seek towards tree planting around the environment, so we can accept that. So through as Councillor said, setting up that page to donate, that's really is a sort of response to the particular issue I think on Samson March. But anything that you want to add to such?
Just regarding the tree maintenance, I have requested officers, they do have a tree maintenance plan, but I feel it could be developed and improved. So I've asked them to put it together, and it should probably be going to the next health office and the scrutiny committee, and then we can all have a chance to scrutinise the tree maintenance plan. Regarding the donations, I walked around the Wolverhampton Marsh area after we managed to get rid of the illegal travellers, and I spoke to a few residents, and just on the spot I said, how would you feel about sponsoring a tree? And a few people put their hand in their pocket and said, how much do you want? So there were a lot of people, every single person I just started to say, would you be interested in sponsoring a tree? They all said yes. Even Borough Cricket Park, we're offering me money because they had a lot of abuse, they had a lot of vandalisation done by illegal travellers, not this time, but the previous time. So they even offered to donate some money as well. So it's going to be on the website, and anyone who wants to sponsor a team will be more than welcome.
I think the precedent set for this is when the stumps were put on towards Stanton Lodge. So the first place we ever put those stumps, initially people were sponsoring the stump, and the previous portfolio that Trevor Johnson had been through that process, and the donations we received enabled us to do that initial stumping of the Alexander Road March, which was the one there, which was then the high target travellers, and he also used some of his community funds as well. So there are various funds. I used County Council community funds for the Earls Drive stumps when in the Western one we proposed a few years ago. So there are many ways in which we can do this. I think tree planting is an idea. Once they've established, I take that point, they've got to be established, but once they've got a much better way of protecting the green space, and see that through sites. And I think in that tree strategy, when it comes forward, I think an indication, tree planting to protect green spaces should be considered. And they may need that extra care and maintenance in the first few years to get established, given that they may be target for who want to get onto that land. But I'm sure that can be included. We'll look out for that policy, which, of course, as Councillor Ricky said, will come quickly. All members will get to be able to see it in the longer run as well. Okay, David's read out the recommendations. We all agree. That's what that is our forward plan. Look at what we're up to for the next 3 months on page 126. Page 127 detail today. We're on page 128. We've got our November meeting now with more town deals, project regeneration, Quarry updates, temporary accommodation policy, our quarter 2 finance reports, and internal audit, internal audit. Then we go to December. We've got the council's annual report, draft savings proposals on the way to the budget setting, and then Chatterley Valley Small Business Park project in December. And then on to page 130, December continues with debt service, Kids Grove, Walleys Quarry update, IT strategy. And then we're into next year already, January 2024, we'll have the draft budget, scheduled meeting charge, and more to come in the new year. So we agree the forward plan. And item 12 is urgent business. We don't have any urgent business today. And item 13 is the disclosure of sensitive information. We do have 2 reports, so we will have to resolve the be excluded from the meeting during consideration of following reports, because it's likely that there will be disclosure of exempt information by the out. We will agree. So we will have turn off the video and press the lead. This form has just got off and just taken the last guy out, so there's a bit of a delay, so it's still on. We've just left the door, so see that final cut off Martin. I'm putting it, so it's still on.
Can you turn off the recording, please?